as you get settled on your back, just kind of notice the support. We'll take a few minutes to center, as always. And then I'd also like to throw out the option, since we are going to focus on throughout our whole torso, really working on our core, upper back, mid back, and chest. You might want to start with a fascia ball somewhere along the spine, maybe around bra line. It's just an option. And then if you do, just make sure you have something supporting your head, lifting it slightly so that it's not dropping all the way back with the chin way up in the air. Okay, and this is just an option. It may be a little too intense to start with, so you need to decide how that feels for you. I'm going to come into neutral. I would prefer that right now. And then keep the knees bent. Take your feet a little bit wider than your hips. Bring the knees together. Bring the palms to your belly. Allow the upper arms to relax on the floor. Let the shoulders drop back. And take a moment to settle into your breath and letting go into your mat, into the floor, into the earth. Surrendering to gravity. And just watch the body breathe for a moment. And as the mind wanders, gently guide it back into observing your breath. Experiencing the body breathing. Scan the body a little from head to toe, noticing if there's any areas of tension or an injury that you're going to need to take care of today. Any places in the body that just need a little extra attention. So although our classes this week will focus through the torso of core, mid, upper back, chest, make sure you also listen to what your needs are, your body, your heart need today, and allow your choices to be in alignment with that. Right? Your practice. So you can always choose differently than what I'm sharing. Noticing the quality of your breath as we paid attention to the body breathing. Being aware of the breath as it enters or exits the nose, or maybe the mouth. Really not worrying about where you're taking the breath in or releasing it from. Just observing. Is there any constriction? Did you notice that you took a deep breath as soon as I asked you to bring your awareness to it? Do you feel the chest rising or the belly rising? Just really notice where you're experiencing that active breathing. And then also just noticing or checking in with your energy body, some of the subtle energies. You might notice them just beneath the skin. And then noticing the mental, emotional body. Just as I shared with you before class that I'm a bit distracted, I've got things going on, and really using the breath to come back. Same thing for you. You can just acknowledge what's coming up for you. And a willingness to bring the mind, those thoughts, quiet them down, back to the present moment again and again with one of the best tools we have, which is breath awareness. Tuning in from here to our wisdom body. Just acknowledging what kind of a connection you feel to your intuitive knowing, your inner teacher, your intuition. Some days we feel more connected than others. And a willingness to be open to deepening that connection so we have more clarity in our lives. We have confidence in the choices we make, less doubts. And feel empowered to live in our own truth. And we trust that guidance. And release the hands. We're going to just open them a little bit away from you, palms up. Notice how that softens the shoulders or opens the chest a little bit. Okay. Not really wide, somewhere halfway between the shoulder and next to you. Then we're going to go ahead and bring our knees and feet all the way together. Let's take care of the low back a little bit here. So last week we focused a lot through the feet and the legs and sacrum, low back, hips. And let's begin the practice by taking care of those areas, just keeping everything safe, warming up slowly. So just a small movement side to side, feet firmly planted in the mat. Just rocking across your sacrum. Movements are small. And as we find our way into the body, also let's find our way into the breath. So with these small movements, find that nice extended inhale and exhale, evening out the breath, keeping it as smooth as you can. And notice if you'd like to make this a little bit bigger, and as you do so, you might feel the edges of the feet come off the floor, and that's fine. I'm going to ask or encourage you to keep still the movement fairly small. In other words, let's not bring the knees all the way to the floor into a deep twist yet. Unless you're viewing this as a recording later on and you've had a very active day and your body feels safe to do so. But first thing in the morning, it's nice to keep this smaller. What I want you to also pay attention to is what are you experiencing through your core? So the area just below the belly. And noticing as you bring the knees a little deeper to one side that it engages slightly. So it works, it's always working for us, sometimes a little bit more than others. And provides an amazing support to come from a lying down to a sitting position, to go from a sitting position to a standing position. We use our core to roll over in bed, and we use our core as we walk, right? So all those things that we take for granted in life become more difficult if the weaker our core becomes. So it's important to really work with it and keep it strong. Bring the knees back to center. And then using your core, pick the feet up off the floor. Just a little bit. We're not drawing the knees all the way into the chest. Just feel the activation of the muscles, the abdominal muscles here. And then place the feet back into the floor. And you can have the feet all the way together, or you can bring them hip width apart. Doesn't really matter. We're just going to go ahead, draw the feet up off the floor, and find a neutral pelvis. So we played a lot with that in classes last week. So we are neither flattening the low back into the floor or in a back bend. We're right in between. So you should have just a small space between the lumbar spine and your mat. And then bring the feet back down. You're also going to notice the hip flexors engage. So that's also an engagement. You're working those muscles. So again, bring both feet up off the floor. And just feel your core, hold, and breathe. Now, we're going to keep one foot up in the air, and the other you're going to lower to just tap the toe into the floor, and then do the opposite foot, tap the toe. So again, these movements aren't meant to be big, they're slow, they're small. The feet are just lifting maybe, a foot off the floor at the most. So engaging. And just notice the heat start to get created through the core, the hip flexors as well. Just continue with this for several more breaths. Just warming up that area, activating it, communicating, letting it know we're going to be playing in that area a little bit today. So let's wake up. And then we'll go ahead and lower both feet into the floor. Let all that relax. Breathe into the belly. Allow it to expand. And now we'll go ahead and draw the knees into the chest with your hands. So allow that, or bring the hands to the knees, hug them in, and just round the low back. Coming into our Apanasana, inhale arm lengths away and exhale towards you. And I forgot to mention, and I apologize for those of you with a fascia ball underneath your mid-back. Hopefully you've already removed it. There's my distracted moment. It wouldn't have necessarily been harmful if you'd left it there. Maybe a little bit more challenging, if anything. And then we'll go ahead and take the knees in a circle. You are welcome to breathe both directions through the nose or release the exhale out through the mouth. A nice, long, smooth breathing. And then take this and circle the other way. And then come to center, hug the knees in, feel that stretch to the low back. We're going to keep the right knee into the chest and extend the left leg out and hover off the floor. So the leg is just hovering off the floor, maybe an inch, both feet are flexed. And again, just feeling that activation through the core. We'll also be engaging with the hip flexors again. But just hold here, we're holding the knee with our hands, feet flexed, core engaged, left leg extended, hovering off the floor. Just feel that warmth get created through the core. Steady breathing. And then very slowly switch. Like riding a bike, but take your time. And eventually the right leg extends out, hovering just above the floor. Hug the left knee into the chest, both feet flexed. Core engaged and breath flowing. Good. So now we'll go ahead and we're just going to move through this in slow motion. Hug the right knee into the chest and hover the left leg, keeping the lower abdominal muscles engaged the whole time. And we're not using any momentum here. So we're not just swaying, bringing the legs quickly back and forth. You can, but this is meant to be very slow and controlled. So we're moving very deliberately, very consciously. I found as I inhale is when I'm switching, and as I hug the knee in towards the chest, I'm exhaling. you've gone equally side to side, place both feet in the floor. Allow the core to relax. Arms open out. Shoulders drop open. Palms up. And very deliberately breathe into the belly, allowing it to expand and relax. So let's go ahead and warm up through the chest, upper back, a little bit into the arms, just through our moving bridge. So we're going to remove, if you have anything underneath your head, please remove it at this time. Knees bent, feet hip width apart. Bringing the heels maybe within 4 inches of the buttocks. You want to feel like your feet are directly underneath your knees. Arms are by your side, palms down. And roll the shoulders underneath you. Okay, so we feel the heart open and really engaging the shoulder blades onto the upper back. Find your breath, a nice even flow of breath. And on an inhale, we'll press into the feet and roll the spine up as high as you can, all the way, if you can, we're lifting all the way up to the back of the heart. Head stays neutral, and then we slowly roll back down, exhaling. And again, inhaling, rolling up. And exhaling, roll back down. So just move with this at your own pace. I am going to just invite you to keep it very mindful and slow though. Pay attention to the core and what's happening through the upper back and the heart. Just noticing these areas as we move in our practice. What's coming up for you. And the next time you roll back down on the exhale, pause. Feel the echo of the practice. Just notice what's coming up, what you're experiencing, how the body is responding. And then we'll go ahead and take this into a single arm moving bridge. So on an inhale, roll the spine up off the floor as you bring the right arm overhead and all the way to the floor if possible. Now if the shoulder doesn't allow you to, just bring it as far as it feels comfortable. And then exhale, we lower everything together, hips and that arm. Opposite side, inhale, hips up, left arm reaches overhead. Just feel that reach to the shoulder and the underarm, side body, rib cage. Exhale, release back down. Notice if you have the need to engage your core in this pose, right? We're just really discovering in our own body what's going on. Inhaling up, releasing on the exhale, alternating arms. When you've gone equally side to side, pause and just feel any vibrations or shifts or energies. Just notice whatever's coming up for you. And then we'll come into our 3-part moving bridge. So on an inhale, the hips come up, both arms reach overhead. Bring them as far as you can. On the floor, if you can, it's great because we're going to leave them there as we exhale and lower the spine back down to the floor. And just feeling a nice stretch through the chest and the shoulders, side body. Inhaling back up. And exhale, everything lowers together. Arms and spine and hips all the way back down. We'll stay here for a few minutes. Inhaling, hips up, both arms overhead. Leaving the arms there as you exhale and release the hips, the spine. Inhale back up. And exhale everything together. So just at your own pace now, just kind of go a few more rounds here. If you change it up at all or get the breath mixed up, that's all right. Just make sure you keep breathing. And we just want to avoid holding the breath. When you find your way back down to our starting position, go ahead and pause once again and just feel the practice so far. So we're going to have some options here to open up the chest a little bit. And we're going to go ahead and come into a two-legged table. So we're going to keep the arms by your side. Roll the shoulders under you as much as you can. So feel the chest lift and open. Okay, for some of you, this might be your pose. So just really anchoring the shoulders into the floor and opening up the front body. And then go ahead and slowly lift the hips up. Head or neck is neutral, please. Okay, so we're neither bringing the chin up to the ceiling, nor are we dropping it to the chest. It's right in between. Just feel this. Notice Dvipada Piyam, two-legged table. Noticing the opening in the chest to see how that feels for you. And then you also have the option to interlace your hands underneath you. The back of the hands face the heels. Arms are extended. And you roll the shoulders under you even more. So you start to really lift and open the front of the body. Here, just hold and breathe, whichever position you're choosing. And breathe into the chest, really inviting it to open. And then go ahead and release. Back down. Take a couple breaths here in our starting position again. Feel the practice so far and the choices that you're making for yourself. And then one more time, draw the knees into the chest with your hands, surrounding the low back. We'll come back to a little bit of, well, let's do one more core exercise here, because it also opens the chest. We're going to take our hands behind our head. Okay? One hand on top of the other, or interlace, whichever is most comfortable for you. Allow the elbows to really open. They're going to remain open, so we just enjoy the stretch at the front, in the front body. Okay? From here, we're going to go ahead, find that neutral pelvis, and then from the lifting of the core, using your core, we're going to bring the head to hover off the floor an inch. So my head's really relaxing into my hands. The core is lifting me. Even a slight tucking of the tailbone, if that happens, is fine. It's less about me pressing my head up or my head having to hold itself up. It's relaxed into my hands so my neck can stay, especially the front of the neck, can stay relaxed. Okay? Then from there, I'm going to bring my feet up off the floor to a 90-degree bend of my knees. Feet flex, legs squeezing together. Those of you who have been with me for a while, we've done this one many times. Okay? So this is your starting position. For some, this might be enough. If you want to move into the next stage, you're going to go ahead from your core, start to lift the chest, elbows and the head up off the floor, but straight up to the ceiling. So we're not bringing the elbows together and crunching the head to the knees at all. It's just a lift straight up and back down to within an inch of the floor, just hovering off the floor. Straight up and back down. Continue to breathe and really isolate this movement in the lower abdominal muscles. So we're really getting to this deeper supportive muscles that do all that I mentioned earlier. Help us sit up, roll over, stand, walk. Continue for a few more if you can, and of course rest if you need to. Always come back. But hopefully we're starting to really feel some warmth or some heat in that lower abdominal area. And then release back down. Release the feet, release the hands. Take a few breaths. You might even want to extend the legs along the floor. And then we'll bend the knees again, rolling to one side. And let's come into hands and knees. We'll do a little bit more warm up here. We'll create a little more warmth in the body. And just notice, as you rolled over, you had to engage your core in order to do so. And so it's really paying attention to all that it does for us. Placing the palms in your mat, at the front of your mat, knees underneath the hips, hip width apart. Already the core is engaged here, so we support our backs. Just feeling that, and we're going to go ahead and round the upper back, and just feel, for most of us, that's fairly easy. We tend towards a rounded posture these days from all the time on our screens. And then reverse that, sink the heart towards the floor, take the tailbone up, and just noticing, trying to reverse that curvature in the upper spine. It takes a little bit more effort. Exhaling, tuck under. Inhaling, open. And really the intention here is the engagement of the core and just noticing the thoracic spine and the cervical spine, but in particular the thoracic spine, upper and mid back, and what's going on there. And then from here, working our way into Chakravarkasana, exhaling back into Child's Pose. Now, if you were in classes last week, we played a lot with our pelvic tilt here, and you're welcome to come back to that. I find repetition to be one of the best teachers. And so you can play with that anterior versus a posterior tilt as you drop back. And just noticing how that feels for you today. Could be very different than what you experienced with it last week. But we're also really noticing as we draw back what's going on through the upper back and the shoulders and the engagement of our core as we rise up and release back. Supporting that low back. And next time you come up and find your way to hands and knees, we're going to move in the opposite direction. If your wrists get tired, you can do all of this from a fist. That's fine. Okay, just to give you an option. And then from here, with your core nice and engaged, really pull back towards the spine. Heart stays open, so notice if the shoulders tend to come into the ears and keep them down, and shoulder blades onto the back body. Really engage that. So you're opening the chest. And we're going to move forward, keeping the core engaged, really lengthening the spine. We're not dropping the hip bones into the floor, creating a back bend here. I want you to focus on what's going on through the chest and just open the front body, open your heart, and then go back to the hands and knees, or all the way back into a child's pose if you choose. Okay, so I'm going to leave this to you. Core engaged the whole time. Heart opens as you move forward. Moves through neutral. You can stay right at neutral and come forward again, or round the upper back, releasing it into that child's pose. Okay, so just feel this, play on your mat, noticing and experiencing your body today. And then we'll all meet at hands and knees, whatever position you're coming from. And then we're going to go ahead now and do our alternate arm and leg lift. So this works asymmetrically across the back body. It's a nice back body strengthener. And you'll know if you're not doing the opposite arm and leg, because it's same arm and leg, you're going to have a hard time balancing, but it happens. So just kind of be aware of that. Right arm, left leg, shoulder height, hip height, core engaged, spine long and neutral. Bring it back down. Left arm, right leg. Just feel this side. Keep that core nice and strong, and back down. So we're going to alternate between this, doing so with our breath. Inhaling, right arm, left leg. Exhaling to all fours. Inhaling, left arm, right leg. Exhale to all fours. So nice, smooth, continuous movement with our breath. Mindful, taking our time, we're in no rush. So feel the core working and supporting you. Notice what's going on through the back body, what's activating. And when you've gone equally side to side, find your resting pose. For some of you, it's child's pose, and for others, it's your belly. So you find that place for you. Bringing your forehead to the floor. If you're in child's pose, well, either way, even if you're on your belly, or you can bring your head to your hands. Notice what feels right for you, and take a few deep breaths. Breathe into the belly, which is compressed either into your thighs or to the floor, depending on your position. And the back body takes over. The back body opens and creates space. So breathe into that. And then we'll go ahead and come back up. And we're going to do thread the needle. So we're going to keep our left palm in the floor, and we're going to draw our right arm underneath. We're going to move in and out 3 times to begin with, and then we will come in and hold in the pose. Your exhale brings you into the twist. So this is really nice both for the shoulder and the upper back. You're going to inhale, pull through, and reach up. And then exhale, release into the pose. Head comes to the floor if you can. Inhaling, reach up. Now the core is very active through this whole movement. On the third exhale here, release and hold. We're bringing the top edge of our head to the floor. We keep the cheek well away from the floor. So we keep the neck extended. Left palm is rotated so that the fingertips face your forehead. Opening up that shoulder, and the elbow, the left elbow is up to the ceiling. So breathe into that upper back, just a little bit of a twist through the thoracic spine. And then we'll go ahead and come up. Come to all fours. Maybe a little cat-cow. And then we'll move through the other side. So your exhale will draw you into the pose. Inhale, reach up. Core is engaged the whole time. Exhale into the pose. Inhale and reach up one more time. And this third exhale, let's come in and hold. Top edge of the head in the floor. Right fingertips rotated towards your forehead. Right elbow up towards the ceiling. Relax and soften into that upper spine. Into the twist. Breathe. Cheek is away from the floor. And then slowly find your way back to hands and knees. Maybe a little cat-cow. And then let's go ahead and find our way into our first down dog this morning. So curl the toes under, take the tailbone into the sky. Once again, if you were in classes last week and we really played with the pelvic tilt, you can play with that here, right? Remember we started with the knees bent, tipping the tailbone up to the sky, feeling that elongated spine. Then the next, on this first one, let's go ahead and just walk it out. Kind of playing and moving around, just moving through the spine and the shoulders and the head and kind of squirming around in the body. And then go ahead and come back down to the knees and find your resting pose, just to release for a second. Then we're going to come back up and we'll play, focusing on what's going on in the heart, the upper back and down dog. So just relax wherever you're choosing to rest. Take a few deep breaths. And we'll find our way back into down dog. Notice core is used as you come up to hands and knees, and it's going to be used to find our way into down dog. So go ahead and bend the knees pretty significantly and take the tailbone up into the sky, what we played with last week, and then bring your awareness to the upper back and the shoulder blades, right? So right where the bra line would be, and you're going to go from here and you're going to soften your heart. It's like you're trying to draw your heart towards your thighs. Shoulders are away from the ears. The upper back really broadens. And you can feel almost a sense of reversing that curvature in the spine. So it opens the chest and really opens the back body and that spine. Just feeling that, breathe here. Feel the effort that's involved. If you can maintain that length of spine, you can start to straighten the knees, draw the heel towards the floor if the hamstrings allow. Usually the low back to mid back will start to compromise by rounding in order to find those straight legs, and that's not what we want. Okay. And again, release to the knees. Come into your resting pose. Relax the arms. Feel the effects of the practice. Breathe deeply into the back body. Come back up, inhaling, use your core, find your way into Adho Mukha Svanasana, into down dog, and then walk your feet to your hands. So standing forward fold. Just take a moment here. Allow that spine to drape over the thighs. So there's no effort in the upper body. Maybe you don't even have to have your core engaged here. Fingertips are very lightly resting on the floor or the block, or if you need to, you can come up higher, resting your elbows on your thighs if you're unable to go into a deeper bend or forward fold. And then we're just really working on the stretch through the back of the legs, of course, and the spine hanging. So creating space through the vertebra. Just breathe here for a minute. Right? Giving yourself permission to bend the knees if you need to. And we'll go ahead and place the hands on our hips. Bend the knees even more, almost like into a squat. Engage your core right now. Really hug the core in. Lengthen the spine, reaching forward with the crown of the head as you find your way up to standing. So anytime we come up from Tadasana, we're really using the lower abdominal muscles, and we want to find that nice long spine. So just take a moment, find your sense of balance, your equilibrium here. Both feet underneath the hips. Arms by your side. Good. So let's come into our half salutations because it's just so nice. It works the spine in all directions and gets into the side body here. So feet are just hip width apart. Find your breath. And your inhale will raise the arms up. Take a hold of one wrist and exhale to the opposite side. Core is engaged this whole time as you inhale back upright, switch sides, and exhale to the other side. So even though we're folding, we're trying to keep the spine as elongated as possible. Imagine you're reaching up and over a huge exercise ball. We inhale, come back up. Exhale, the arms lower. Keep that spine tall, core engaged, palms to the low back as you inhale through the sternum. So open the heart, tailbone slightly tucks, core is actively engaged here. And on your exhale, the hands, the palms run down the buttocks, the back of the legs, finding your way into that forward fold once again. Inhale, place your hands on your shins, lengthen the spine, come halfway. And exhale, fold. Arms by your side, reaching behind you, engage the core, lengthen the spine as you come up. Arms are the last things. Inhale, and grab a hold of one wrist, exhale to the other side. So I think all of you know this one well. It's just always nice to take the first stage or the first round, nice and slow, checking in, reminding ourselves where the breath is, and then just enjoying the movement in the body. So you can move at your own pace. You can move with me. Totally leave that up to you as we move through one more round. And the next time you inhale to standing, bring the palms together. As you exhale into your heart, we'll come together here. A moment to pause and feel, check in. Release the hands and the arms by your side. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just stand sideways so you can see me. I'm gonna take my feet out at least shoulder width apart, if not even mat width apart. Okay, so nice and wide and parallel. Now interlace your hands behind you. Okay. Spine stays nice and tall, core engaged. Shoulders stay down away from the ears and open them back. For some, this may be your posture. You may not have it available to bring the arms up off the low back. That's okay. Just feel the stretch here. Stay in a safe place for you. Okay. And if interlacing the hands all together doesn't work, sometimes some people have to just take a hold of one wrist. It's a little more out of balance that way, or you can bring your hands to your hips, just draw those elbows back and keep the shoulders down, but still opening through the heart, okay? So really the focus here is just opening in the chest. We're gonna go ahead and bend the knees pretty generously if it's available to you, bringing that nice elongated spine to come and rest on the thighs. Keep those shoulders down, away from the ears, shoulder blades anchoring onto the upper back, and if you can bring the arms up off the back, folding over. So we're not really trying to get into the hamstrings here. That's why I asked you to bend the knees. And really focusing on that opening of the front body. And then slowly release that. Coming back up, use your core. And pause and just feel that. We'll move our way into just a couple rounds of slow motion heart salutations, just like we did there, rather than do them more quickly as we can. We're just doing them nice and slow, right? So let's interlace the hands or find your position behind you. Shoulders down and back, heart open, arms extended if possible. Core is engaged, spine tall. Find your breath. And slowly bend the knees. Reach forward with the heart, bringing the chest to the thighs. Folding over the thighs, bringing the arms up off the low back if that's available, and stretching through the shoulders too. Relax the head. Just pause and breathe here. And slowly release that. And come up. Release the arms and just feel. Okay. So let's just do a couple of standing poses where we will focus on what's going on in the upper body. So let's have a block nearby. Okay, for those of you who choose to use one. And you might not choose to use it, it'll be up to you. We're gonna, from the front of your mat, step your right foot back. We're gonna play in a triangle pose here. So I find that my stance in triangle pose is a few inches shorter between my feet than in my warrior poses. That's just something personally that I found that feels better in my body. I just want to throw that out there as something to consider for yourself. Block at level 3 to the inner edge of your left ankle. Okay. Foot that's in front. Okay. In triangle pose, both legs stay straight and really activate the quadricep muscle, so we're hugging the muscle to the bone. The standing position is quite strong and solid. Feel your feet really planted into the earth. We played with that a lot last week. All right. From here, extend the left arm, just the left arm, my right hand staying on my hip, because we're going to shift the hips back. Okay, now my core is actively engaged. I'm keeping my spine long, right? What we want to avoid is the collapsing into the side body and rounding the spine. We want to reach out and lengthen that side body out over that left thigh. Okay, so we're reaching, keeping that nice and long until you bring the back hand, the back of your left hand, maybe the tips of the fingers come to the block. Okay. Maybe they stay up here to the back of the shin, just below the knee, or even higher up above the knee, right? But we're pressing the back of the hand into something or leaning on the block in order to open the front body. Okay, so the emphasis here is really having the heart open, and then you can extend or decorate the pose with that right arm extending if you choose. Try not to lock in the knees, please. And this is what we're avoiding, is that folding forward of the heart or closing forward, because we tried to go too far into the pose. Right? So if you stay lifted, the heart can stay open. Okay, you don't have to decorate the pose with the right arm. Remember, you can always keep the hand on the hip. Okay, it's up to you. And then from there, we roll the gaze out through the right fingertips to the ceiling. Keep that spine long, keep reaching through that left side body, core engaged, heart open, breath flowing. Utthita Trikonasana, triangle pose. Now we really took our time coming into the pose, and I want to do the same coming out. So notice where your core is, hopefully. If it's not engaged, re-engage it. You can bend slightly into that left knee. I find that really helpful. I'm going to reach up with my right fingertips using my core to bring me back up again. Okay, so injuries occur almost more often coming out of a pose versus in it, because we do so quickly and unconsciously. Right? And then I'm just going to simply rotate to the other side. But you can step to the front of your mat and step the other foot back if you want. Okay? But we want the right foot now as the front leg, back as the left. Block's going to go to the inner edge of that right foot. Okay? Whether you use the block is really just dependent on your flexibility you have in that front leg. Okay? Again, left hand on your hip, now reach with the right arm. Right? And we're, as we play with the hips, we're shifting the hips back, lengthening and reaching through that right side body, and then noticing where that right hand lands. It can be at the back of the shin, maybe slightly above the knee, whatever is enabling that heart to be open, okay, spine long, or maybe the hand comes to the block. Okay, both legs are straight if possible, please. That's the point of the pose. Heart is open. And then you can choose to decorate the pose with the left arm. And you can choose to take the gaze up to the left fingertips. Really hug the muscle to the bone. Relax the toes though. Core is engaged, spine long, heart open, breath flowing. If you're unable to maintain a nice, easy, flowing breath, then you might want to release out of the pose a little bit. You may have come into it a little too far and you're finding it difficult to be here. That's not what we're looking for. Breath is a big indicator. Just like before, pay attention to your core. Bend the front knee if you need to a little bit, but reach with the left fingertips, core is engaged as you find your way back up to standing, and release the arms. Okay, beautiful. Okay, I'm just going to rotate again, or you can step up to the front of your mat. Okay, keep the block by you. Again, we're going to step that right foot back first, and place the block to the inner edge of that left ankle. Okay. So now we're going to come into an extended side angle pose. So you might have a wider stance here than your triangle pose. Maybe it's the same for you. I'm going to take mine just a little bit wider. Back leg is going to stay nice and strong and straight. Hug the muscle to the bone. We're going to go ahead, bend into like we're coming into warrior two. So just keep the spine tall for a minute, like a warrior two. Bending into that front knee. And then we're going to go ahead, keeping that Left side body as elongated as possible. Left forearm to the thigh, palm up. And just notice that whole right side body down through the right leg is a nice long line of energy there. And then the right arm can come all the way up or even over, bicep to the ear, palm faces the floor as you rotate the gaze up underneath the arm. Now this is one option. Okay, this is one of my more favorite places to play in this pose. You can bring your left hand to the block and then extend your right arm straight up, just changes the line of energy. And some of you might have it available to go even deeper into the pose, lowering the block or removing it altogether. We are once again paying attention to the heart though. So if you're choosing to move more deeply into this pose, notice if you're sacrificing the upper body. You should feel as if the back body can lie up against the wall, flat. Okay. Take a couple more breaths here. Holding that core nice and strong to come back up. Okay, so again, you can either step that right foot up and then step the left foot back. I'm just simply rotating, so I'm continuously facing the camera. Okay. But you want the right leg is now the front leg, left one's in the back. Okay. Placing the block in position. All right, spine is tall, core engaged, bend into that front knee as if you're coming into a warrior two, but we're just keeping the arms low. Notice that back leg's nice and strong. And then we're going to reach, lengthening that right side body to rest the forearm on that right thigh lightly. Okay. Not all of our weight hanging out there. Core is engaged. And then from there, left arm, find the expression of your pose. And remember, you can bring the hand to the block, reach up with the left arm, that's an option. Lower the block. Just really notice what's coming up for you, and the front body keeping it open. It's up to you. Your practice. Keep breathing. Using your core, come back up. Step to the front of your mat. Feet underneath you, just feel the practice so far. Okay. So we're going to work our way down towards the floor again. We're going to do a little bit more core work. Okay. Inhaling, reach up. And exhale, fold. Go ahead and walk both feet back and find your way into a plank position. Okay, so we're coming all the way back with the body parallel to the floor, palms directly underneath the shoulders, legs are straight, right? So we're trying to do the best we can to avoid the butt up in the air, although you need to meet yourself where you are. So if you can, we're coming into full plank. If need be, you can bring the knees back or to the floor. The farther behind the hips they are, the more challenging it is, right? The closer I bring them up, I'm just coming into a hands and knees, and I'm not really getting much core strength there. So the farther back you bring your knees and lengthen the spine forward, the more core work you'll have. So it's up to you. Come in and breathe. Spine's neutral. You can also do this from your fist if your wrist bother you. Strong and steady. And then lower to the knees and into your resting position, which might be child's pose or the belly. Okay, relax the belly. Breathe deeply into the back body. Taking a moment to rest and check in. And then we'll go ahead, come back up to hands and knees, and this time come onto your forearms, palms down, shoulder width apart, so the elbows are approximately right underneath the shoulders there. Okay, and then you're going to start to walk the knees back. Same pose, you're just going to hover a little lower off the floor. So the farther back you bring your knees, the more challenging that is for the core. And then of course, last option, bring the knees up off the floor, body parallel, breath flowing into a forearm plank. So easier on the wrists. Some people find this pose harder. Some people find it a little bit easier than plank. And then slowly release and come all the way onto the belly. You can rest your head on your hands if you'd like. Allow the spine to just come into the mat into a neutral position for a moment. Breathe into the belly. And then go ahead and bend the knees and sway the feet side to side or crisscross. Okay. So go ahead now and bring the arms by your side, forehead into the floor. Let's again do a little bit more work in the strengthening of the back body. So when we're very forward, rounded, the muscles have shortened in the chest, but lengthened in the back body. And so it's really about working on the opposite. We want to strengthen the back body so that the shoulders can stay back and open the front. Okay, so press your toenails into the floor. Feel the kneecaps lift away. Draw the shoulders up off the floor. So we're activating the upper back. Forehead is still on the floor. Okay. And then from here, slightly tuck the tailbone. So you feel a lengthening occurring in the lumbar spine before we start to lift through the upper back. So the heart lifts away from the floor. We're looking straight down, keeping the back of the neck long. Upper back working, and then you can choose to lift the hands and rotate the palms towards one another, thumbs down. Really squeeze those shoulder blades together. The workload is in the upper back. You're drawing the belly slightly away from the floor, or that action of, with a slight tucking of the tailbone, upper back working. And slowly release that down. Rotate your head to one side. Let the shoulders round. Just feel the practice. If it would feel nice on your low back to bend the knees and sway them side to side, you can. I'll leave that up to you. Sometimes that's really nice for people in their backs. Okay, so we're going to come into that again. Bring the forehead to your mat. Press the toenails into the floor. Kneecaps lift. Shoulders away from the floor. Feel the upper back really engage here. And then from there, start to lift the heart away from the floor. Engage with your core, slightly tuck the tail. And then if you'd like, lift the arms, thumbs down. Or I will offer the opportunity to interlace your hands, like we did standing with our heart salutations. And lift from here. And then the next option, Feet come up off the floor as well, but keep really engaging with the core with a slight tuck of the tailbone. So yes, you're in a back bend, but we're lengthening as well. And then slowly release. Rest your head on your hands or rotate, and you can rotate it if you want. Just breathe into the belly, breathe into the back body, feel the practice. And then we're going to go ahead and come into Sphinx pose, and we're going to emphasize an opening of the chest. So you're going to come up onto the forearms, elbows underneath the shoulders, just like we did in a forearm plank, but this time we'll keep our legs on the floor and extended. We want to, from here, draw the navel to the spine and slightly tuck the tail. And then notice the shoulders. We want to lift the shoulders away from the ears, right? We want to avoid the hunching of the shoulders into the ears and open them back. So feel the heart sink forward. Keep drawing that tailbone in. So there's a lengthening of the low back and just opening through the heart here. Just breathe here. Upper back is working. Heart is opening. Core is engaged. Tailbone tucked. Breath flowing. Everything back down. We'll take a few breaths, feel the practice. Place your hands underneath the shoulders, tuck the toes, come find your way up to hands and knees. And then maybe a little cat-cow, just a nice release from the spine. We did do some back bending there. And if it's available to you, drop back into a child's pose just for a couple breaths. Let's go ahead and come on up and find your way onto your back. Come into just a seated position though for a moment. So I've just rolled over to sit. My feet are parallel, hip width apart. I don't know, maybe what, 1.5 feet away from my buttocks. Okay. I'm going to place my palms behind me with my fingertips facing my buttocks. Okay, shoulder width apart. Keeping the heart open, shoulders down and back. We're going to lift up into a reverse table. So just this opening through the shoulder and the back. And then come back down. Rest the wrists if you have to. You can also do this from your fists. Okay, so just, you can even keep the knees bent and just round forward like a seated child's pose in a way. Just roll forward with the spine round. Notice the comfort for most of us in letting the upper back round and the shoulders round forward. That's a more natural position we find ourselves in, so it feels a little easier and it's a little more challenging to open. So let's come back one more time, palms in the floor. And shoulders down, heart open, and then lift up. Reverse table. And then release. And then again, maybe a little reverse child's or seated child's. And then go ahead and find your way onto your backs. Take a moment to check in. Notice how your practice served you today. What are results? What are you feeling? Sensations? Just notice, feel the echo of the practice. And then with your feet hip apart, just go ahead and come into our hip hikers or sliders. And just sliding the hips up the mat towards the armpit. And then bring that to center, coming into hip pointers. Point the right hip up to the ceiling by pressing into the right foot and back down. And then reverse. Left hip and back down. And then we can alternate between these two. Do some hip hikers and hip pointers. And take a moment to find your position in Shavasana this morning, extending the legs out along the floor, arms away from your side, palms up, opening the heart in a receptive position, right? A position to receive this practice, to integrate it. I'm going to take you through a guided visualization, so I'm going to come to seated, so just take a moment. Again, all the props that are available to you, feel free to use them by placing something underneath the knees, which is nice for the low back, or underneath your head, or a blanket on you. As you get settled in, notice if there's any last minute adjustments that you'd like to make. And once you feel completely comfortable, just become mindful of your breath. Letting go and surrendering to gravity. If there's any tension left in the body, invite it to soften. Noticing if you're holding anything in the fingers or toes, facial muscles, and relaxing the third eye. On your next inhale, take a nice deep, full inhale, expanding your belly and chest as much as you can, holding it for a moment at the top of the inhale. And then exhale, just feeling a wave of relaxation sweep over you. And again, inhale, filling your entire breathing system with fresh oxygen, holding it at the top. And then again, noticing the wave of relaxation that gently sweeps over you. Do that 3 more times, just inhaling to fullness. Hold at the top for a moment and let it all go, just feeling a nice wave of relaxation, head to toe. After that 5th round, let your breath be natural and just notice how you're feeling in this very moment. Now bring your attention, as your breath just does its own thing, we're not shaping the breath anymore, and bring your attention to the very top of your head and just notice how it feels. Allow your attention to move to your eyes. Just notice how your eyes feel. Ask them to relax if there's any tension. Notice any small eye movements. And allow them to help you feel calm. Notice how the back of your head feels against the surface it's touching. Let your focus move to your nose. Feeling any sensations of the air moving in and out with your breath. Your ears. Bring attention to your ears. Any sensation. Notice how they feel and notice what they hear. How about your mouth? Bring your attention to your mouth and any sensations there. And bring your attention to your neck and your shoulders. Any tension, ask it to release, let go. Move your attention slowly down each arm, all the way to the tips of each finger. Notice if they're touching anything. Noticing sensations in the fingertips. And allow your focus to go to your chest. Relaxing this area and noticing how it is involved with the breath. If there's any tension, ask it nicely to release. Bring your attention to your heart. Notice if you can feel it beating, strongly supporting you. At the same time, relaxing your heart and maintaining an open heart. Focus on your lungs, feeling them gently expand and contract with your breath, delivering oxygen to your body. And notice your belly and your digestive system. Any sensations there. Notice your low back. Is it pressing on any surface or is there a little space there? Any tension? Just softly and gently ask it to release. Bring your awareness to any sensations in the pelvis and hips. Allow your focus to move down each leg, slowly relaxing as you go, appreciating all the places that your legs have taken you. Allowing a wave of relaxation to move over your knees and the lower legs, all the way to the tip of every toe. Now we're going to take our focus and we're going to go back up the same way we came, but this time imagine that you're slowly pulling in your favorite color through your toes. And this color is a deeply healing substance. This could be physical or emotional or spiritual. So imagine that your favorite color is coming in through your toes and into your feet. Goes up your legs, passing over your knees and up into the pelvis, into the hips, filling the pelvic bowl. This beautiful color is filling up your belly and your digestive system, all through the torso, all your vital organs. It continues into your lungs. This is a color that is profoundly healing for you. It glows as it fills your whole heart, and you notice how happy you become while doing this. It travels across your shoulders and down each arm all the way to your fingertips. This healing color moving up to your neck, blankets your mouth, ears, nose, eyes, and instantly fills every tiny space in your brain, encompassing your mind, healing it as well. And it moves all the way to the very top of your head where we began, enveloping you in a curative experience. Just feel your whole body immersed in this healing color. And notice how completely relaxed your entire body feels right now. Allow yourself to take a few minutes to rest in this deep relaxation and healing. Continue to rest deeply in your color for about another 2 minutes. Take a few deep breaths. Know that you can come back to that meditation anytime. Begin to wiggle some fingers and toes. And as you find your way back, I'm going to share with you a reading from the Book of Awakening. And it's actually today's date of January 18th. and it's called The Spider and the Sage. In India, there is a story about a kind, quiet man who would pray in the Ganges River every morning. One day after praying, he saw a poisonous spider struggling in the water and cupped his hands to carry it ashore. As he placed the spider on the ground, it stung him. Unknowingly, his prayers for the world diluted the poison. The next day, the same thing happened. On the third day, the kind man was knee-deep in the river, and sure enough, there was the spider, legs frantic in the water. As the man went to lift the creature yet again, the spider said, "Why do you keep lifting me? Can't you see I will sting you every time?" "Because this is what I do." And the kind man cupped his hands around the spider, replying, "Because this is what I do." There are many reasons to be kind, but perhaps none is as compelling as the spiritual fact that it is what we do. It is how the inner organ of being keeps pumping. Spiders sting, wolves howl, ants build small hills, and human beings lift each other no matter the consequence, even when other beings sting. Some say this makes us a sorry lot that never learns, but to me it holds the same beauty as berries breaking through ice and snow every spring. It is what quietly feeds the world. After all, the berries do not have any sense of purpose or charity. They are not altruistic or self-sacrificing. They simply grow to be delicious because that is what they do. As for us, if things fall, we will reach for them. If things break, we will try to put them together. If loved ones cry, we will try to soothe them, because that is what we do. I have often reached out, and sometimes it feels like a mistake. Sometimes the quiet man lifting the spider, I have been stung. But it doesn't matter, because that is what I do. That is what we do. It is the reaching out that is more important than the sting. In truth, I'd rather be fooled than not believe. Slowly roll to one side. Take a moment there. And then slowly find your way to a seated position, palms together at your hearts. Slight bow of the head, honoring the kindness, the goodness within you. Those times in which you've reached out to help, maybe you've gotten stung yourself, but no matter, it's what you do. It's what we do. Because it's the right way to be, the right way to do, live in the world. So may you continue to bring that goodness out to others, to the planet. I thank you for allowing me to take the seat of teacher today. Namaste.